12,000 applicants, 450 interviews, 0 hires. That's not a hypothetical. That's what actually happened when a tech company posted 3 junior developer positions on LinkedIn. Now, you might think this is about having bad candidates, maybe strange employers, or one, super odd company. But when I started digging into the data, I discovered this was just the beginning. What I found is that the game has changed completely, but a few are discussing the real reasons why. So let's go ahead and break down that 12,000 number. A hiring manager on the subreddit of experienced devs shared everything. Out of 12,000 applications, automated systems filtered down to about 2,000. From there, 450 made it to the interviews. These weren't all just random people, though. Many of these 12,000 people were doing good things. They had great resumes, they were building relevant projects, and they had the right keywords. Now, we already know that the filtering system from 12,000 to 450 people kind of sucks. But here's what went wrong when those candidates actually did get a chance to interview. They could discuss code, they could explain concepts, but most people struggled to write working code on their own. They needed a lot of help solving actual problems. The hiring manager said something to me that kind of stuck with me. These candidates knew the theory on how to build software, but when asked to implement something from scratch, they didn't know how. They wanted hints. They couldn't translate knowledge into working software, and that's really what we want at the end of the day when hiring software engineers. Now, here's what this really reveals about the market, though. This isn't that candidates are suddenly getting worse. This is that AI is removing the bottom tier of the ladder. But think about it for a second. What did juniors used to do? Like when you hired junior developers, they worked on boilerplate code and simple bugs. That was the training ground. You learned by doing boring stuff, making mistakes on low-stake projects gradually. 5 years ago, a junior developer would spend their first, 6 months writing basic CRUD operations, creating simple API endpoints, fixing bugs in existing code. It wasn't glamorous by any means, but it was how you learned. It was how you grew within this discipline. But now AI can handle a lot of that work faster and cheaper. The simple tasks that were the entry point doesn't exist anymore, right? Companies don't need 2 hours of junior work when AI can do good enough job. Those 12,000 people weren't competing against each other. They were competing against a fundamental shift in what companies need. The job postings existed. The pathway has been deleted or eliminated. But we'll pause there. If AI is killing entry-level jobs, then how do we explain what happened with NVIDIA? Because their story makes things way more complicated. NVIDIA brought in 1,500 interns a few years ago, and then 1 year later, they slashed to 600. 60% cut, just 1 year later. As we all know, NVIDIA isn't struggling. Their stock is on a historic run. Their chips power the AI revolution. They could afford more interns, but they're choosing not to. And I think it's because of 4 crises that hit simultaneously. First, AI productivity tools. Existing employees accomplished more with AI assistance. The math changed on how many people are needed for a specific project. A team of 5 with AI tools can now probably produce as many as what 7 or 8 could produce before. Why would you hire 3 more people when your current team just became 50% more productive? Second, economic uncertainty. Headcount is a liability. Every time you hire someone, it's a fixed cost. Every fixed cost is a risk when the market gets kind of weird, and we know that the market is kind of weird right now. Companies learned that during the pandemic that lean teams survive and they can do great work. Third is remote work changed training. In office, juniors learned by osmosis, the overhearing conversations, tapping shoulders, at the water fountain. Everyone loves to talk about the water fountain, but that's the opposite of remote work, right? Remote work needs careful mentorship, but many teams lack the time for it. That's one reason companies are bringing employees back to the office. And then fourth is the venture capital is kind of drying up. No more hiring everyone and figure it out later because interest rates are high. You need to have an immediate ROI, and juniors by definition are delayed investment. When the money was cheap, companies could afford to wait 18 months for a junior to kind of pick up their pace and really start getting their value. Now, with interest being on the higher end, they can't. So all 4 of these hit simultaneously. None were temporary. companies like NVIDIA responded rationally. Nothing captures this absurdity better than what happened to job requirements. And we all kind of laugh at them right now, but it's real. And a lot of these job requirements are kind of crazy. But data from millions of postings revealed that entry-level positions now average out to about 4.5 years of experience. And unfortunately, that's not misspoken. 4.5 years is the average. And you might be thinking, like, Eric, how's that even possible? That number doesn't even make sense because, like, how are junior people getting 4.5 years of experience? That shift happened recently. Experienced developers flooded the market after layoffs like a year or two ago. They apply to everything, including junior roles. Hiring managers are seeing this as overqualified candidates and they think, why train someone when this person already knows how to do it and already has the years of experience? So when you start hiring people with experience for entry-level jobs, requirements start creeping up. It goes from 1 year to 2 year to 3 year to 4 year, and the entry word becomes meaningless. It's really just a word that companies use to pay someone less, not because it actually describes what they actually want. A developer I was talking to shared that they spent 18 months applying and building projects and contributing to open source. They were doing everything that all the articles and gurus recommended. They finally landed a role at a company willing to bet on potential. But what I'm about to share is going to be a little bit uncomfortable because it changes who you're really competing against. A survey that I conducted on Threads found that 70% of people trust AI-generated code over junior developers. 7 out of 10 people would rather have a machine do it. This isn't about whether AI is actually better. The research on AI code quality is mixed. It's all about the model and the context and like what you're trying to build. But so many people believe in that AI for reliability, and it changes how people think about AI. And something that can make this a little bit worse is there's a ton of hiring managers not testing the AI themselves. They're reading articles, watching demos, hearing stories. Their perception of AI capability is often inflated beyond reality. But that inflated perception still shapes their hiring decisions. Think about what this means for interviews now, right? When you're evaluated, you're not compared to a junior from 5 years ago or the juniors that the seniors used to be. You're compared consciously or unconsciously to what the interviewer thinks AI can do. AI, as we know, like without getting like Terminator, it doesn't sleep. It doesn't need health insurance. You can cancel it whenever you want. You can spin up more whenever you want. That is true, but there comes to a level that you still need that human aspect. The competition isn't always just like other candidates. The competition is sometimes the hiring manager's perception of AI. And that may be accurate, but it also could be very not accurate. And I've noticed that more with smaller companies than larger companies. Now, this changes what you need to demonstrate. It's no longer enough to just show up and show that you know how to code. I mean, you still need to be able to, but you need to be able to also do things that AI might not be able to do out of the box easily. And I know at this point, it kind of sounds like, doom and gloom all over this video, that juniors are going to be obsolete, AI wins, different career time. But that's not true at all. By 2030, the global economy faces a shortage of 85 million skilled workers. The financial impact is going to be at $8.5 trillion in unrealized output. How can there be so many applicants, but also so many few workers at the same time? Well, that's because the market isn't broken everywhere. It's broken specifically at the entry point. Companies still desperately need developers, but they need developers who can produce value immediately. No individual company wants to train when competitors might poach that investment. Everyone waits. Everyone expects everyone else to build that pipeline. And then the shortage grows. For example, if you hire a junior engineer for $70,000 a year, and after 2 or 3 years they get poached for $100K, that means the company invested $140,000 to $210,000 to train a junior into a mid for them to either get poached or now the original company has to pay them more to keep them. Like, just think about the math. Like, they spent $210,000 over 3 years to train you just so you become useful and you leave for a raise at a different company. The company loses the investment. Or they could have just hired a mid-level day one for $100,000 and got the immediate value. The math simply doesn't favor training right now in software development. And this really does create a weird situation. Companies complain they can't find talent. Job seekers complain they can't get hired. Both are telling the exact same truth. They're just not talking about the same thing. Here's why this matters for you. The demand exists. The positions exist. And if they don't exist yet, they will exist. Companies cannot sustain this forever. What they want is candidates who, already bridge that gap, who show up capable despite never having the job that makes them capable. That means, how do you become a $100,000 dev without 2 to 3 years of experience? Now, this may sound unfair. Also, this could be an opportunity if you understand what's being asked here. So let's talk about what's actually working right now. I started reaching out to some developers, and one shared their story on the programming subreddit, and they started with the standard approach. They did generic applications. They had a broad portfolio, the normal, usual advice you see everywhere. They were getting months of rejections until they changed the strategy completely. They shifted from being a generalist to a specialist. Now they focus on one niche, and that niche is unique. It's accessibility compliance for healthcare applications. That is a mouthful, but why do they do that intersection? Because AI handles it poorly. Accessibility, like most of the time, requires humans' context and edge cases not in training data right now. Healthcare has regulatory requirements demanding human judgment. The combination meant employers couldn't replace all the accessibility needs with AI, and they didn't have enough staff to now just use AI to counterdo it, right? They needed to hire more people. And very few developers specialize in accessibility, and even fewer, specialize in accessibility for healthcare regulations. The intersection created a market of its own. The result, they were applying for months, kept getting denied, and then after 8 applicants of this accessibility world, they got hired from 8 applications. And this was, like I said, after months of applying with 0 calls or reachbacks. This pattern keeps appearing. Successful candidates aren't better versions of what AI can do. That doesn't even make sense. They just found areas where human judgment is irreplaceable. And that's a lot of times right now, that's like where the senior engineer plus, because they have already been in, the battle or whatever I'm trying to say more. That's why juniors and some mid are more at risk because they haven't seen as many problems. So if I had to kind of write down what I think AI struggles with, I would say it struggles with the novel problem definition. So not solving stated problems, but figuring out what the real problem is, like the root cause. AI needs you to ask the right questions. But in today's world, nobody, really hands you the right question. You have to be able to find the right question, whether that's through conversation or through observation. And I think that's a spot where humans can really still, excel over AI. Another spot I think AI struggles is cross-domain integration. So connecting different knowledge bases in different fields and then having AI try to isolate those domains. It doesn't naturally combine, for example, it doesn't naturally combine medical knowledge with user interface design when you're also adding in regulatory compliance. Humans do this constantly. Third, I think stakeholder navigation, like human politics and communication, sharpening technical decisions. The best technical solution sometimes isn't the right solution. And that's kind of hard to say. It's kind of hard to explain, but if they're right based on the project at hand, you might not want to over-engineer or do something that really requires a bunch of technical, support. And AI could lead you to that if you're asking AI what's the absolute best solution. Sometimes you just need a human to help guide that. And then lastly, in a lot of fields, there needs to be a lot of ethical judgment. So ambiguous situations where the right value relies on the right value and logic. Maybe asking who gets harmed by this? These questions have no correct algorithm. So this new playbook isn't competing with AI. It's becoming valuable where AI cannot compete with you. And here's one more story because I think it kind of reveals another hidden opportunity. Industry research found 74% annual growth in AI-related positions. Not just senior positions, all positions. While traditional junior roles got smaller, new roles started to expand. And I've kind of talked about this in my other videos, kind of about AI engineering, but there's developers that are recognizing that there's a significant advantage in knowing that small niche or small gap, understanding what fields are actually growing versus shrinking, or if you really are a junior engineer, where you can fit into an expanding field. And companies are creating roles for all these different types, right? You'll see like AI assisted developments, like AI first engineers, AI engineering. Some of these did not exist a few years ago. Experience requirements, therefore, are inflated and kind of lean toward younger engineers that may not have the experience because like this field hasn't even been around that long. This is a career acceleration. When new domains emerge, normal experience hierarchies don't really exist anymore. Overall, going into 2026, the bridge does kind of look broken. But as you guys know, there's multiple ways to cross the bridge and get your first backend or software engineering job.